Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining us tonight to discuss the proposed pilot program for left turn restrictions from Alton Road onto North Bay Road. My name is Gabriela Gonzalez. I'm the Mid-Beach Neighborhood Affairs Coordinator and your host for tonight's meeting. Want to welcome members from our city's Transportation and Mobility Department who are going to be guiding us through tonight's discussion. We have our Assistant Director, Othniel Rodriguez, that has joined us on the call, as well as our Senior Transportation Engineer, Ghassan Shorey. I'd like to welcome some of the elected officials that have also joined us on tonight's call. I want to give a special welcome to Commissioner Dominguez's aide, Julian Desroys. Thank you for being here with us this evening, as well as Commissioner Alex Fernandez and his aide, Cara Petrella. Also want to thank Commissioner Kristen Rosen Gonzalez's aide, Jacqueline Budin, and Commissioner David Suarez for joining us on tonight's call. Without further introduction, I'm going to turn it over now to Othniel to walk us through tonight's presentation. And as always, we'll have a period at the end of the presentation for public comment. So please hold your questions until the end. Othniel?
Thank you, Gabby. So as Gabby mentioned, my name is Othniel Rodriguez. I'm the Assistant Director for the Transportation and Mobility Department with the City of Miami Beach. And this evening, we're going to be talking with you guys or having a discussion about a potential pilot program that the city is exploring. There's nothing set in stone yet. This is very preliminary based on the different concerns that we have primarily along the North Bay Road neighborhood. So to give you a little bit of a background and on purpose, again, the purpose of this meeting is to obtain your feedback. We want to hear from you, the residents of this area, and get your feedback on a potential pilot program that is going to potentially be restricting northbound left turns at different intersections along Alton Road into the Bay Road neighborhood. And the reason why we want to get your feedback is prior to developing and presenting a plan to the City Commission for consideration. Now, as part of the background, as you guys know, Alton Road is a major arterial that is under the jurisdiction of the Florida Department of Transportation. It connects the city of Miami Beach from the MacArthur Causeway all the way to the Gila Total, and then it turns onto West 63rd. The reason why the city has taken a look at North Bay Road and this segment of Alton Road is because we've received complaints or concerns with the volumes of cut-through traffic that goes through the North Bay Road, lower North Bay Road, which causes backups and on the roadway, which is a local residential road, primarily during the afternoon peak periods, and prevents the residents from entering and exiting the driveways. So as a response to those concerns that we received, the city went ahead and collected traffic data and turning movement counts along 17 intersections along Alton Road, all the way from Michigan Avenue to 60th Street. This was in an effort to know how many vehicles actually utilize North Bay Road to cut through the traffic on Alton Road. Now, what the city is considering, again, this is a consideration, this is very preliminary. There's nothing set in stone. However, based on the data that was collected, the city is considering implementing a pilot program that would consist of the following. It would consist of potentially installing no left turn signs at 3 intersections along Alton Road corridor. Those intersections are Alton Road and West 21st Street, Alton Road and West 23rd Street, and Alton Road and West 27th Street. Now, also installing no through traffic at 3 intersections on North Bay Road and Sunset Drive, North Bay Road and 29th Street, and Alton Road and 29th Street. Now, I just want to get everyone to be rest assured that these intersections are preliminary and they have not been finalized. Again, we're in the very early stages of this potential program, and we're going to be there's a long process in order to get this implemented, and we're starting first and foremost with getting the feedback from the community and from the residents that would be impacted. Now, these restrictions are not going to be all the time. This is only be restricting the left turn movements. If you're going northbound on Alton Road, it would potentially restrict the left turn movements in the afternoon peak hours of 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Friday only. So Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. and 7 p.m., if we have the support of the community and the support of our city commission, those left turn movements will not be permitted. This is a straight view of the so far the 6 locations that we've identified as potential locations for these left turn restrictions. Again, Alton Road and West 23rd Street, 21st Street, Alton Road and West 23rd, um, Alton Road and West 27th Street, North Bay Road and Sunset Drive for the no through traffic, and then North Bay Road and 29th, and then again Alton Road and 29th Street. So there's a very small signage that will be implemented that, if approved and supported, that will be installed. Something else that I wanted to reiterate is that all other movements that occur at those intersections are not being restricted. If you're traveling southbound on Alton Road, you will be able to make a right turn onto those 3 intersections mentioned before. If you're exiting from North Bay Road or from the Sunset Islands, you will be able to make either a left turn to go northbound or a right turn to go southbound as those 3 intersections. The only movements that the city is considering as a potential pilot program, it's the movements. If you're going northbound on Alton Road, making a left turn to go into North Bay Road to cut through the neighborhood and ultimately come out on Chase and Alton Road. Again, only left turn movements in the northbound direction would be restricted from the Monday through Friday from 3 to 7, and all other movements, southbound or eastbound movements, will be continued to be allowed. Now, the next steps in this process, again, we're here. This is the first step that we wanted to do. We wanted to obtain your preliminary feedback from the community on this potential pilot program. After this meeting, we're going to be working with our communications department to issue an online survey so that way we could get some quantitative data from every one of you and see if there is support for a pilot program of this. Now, if there is support from the community, then we will proceed to develop a plan and present it to the city commission for consideration. Ultimately, a pilot like this, restricting left-turn movements or restricting any movements on any streets, cannot move forward without the approval of our city commission. So this is the very first step that we're taking, and is to hear from you. Then we're going to do, we wanted to explain what this pilot program could potentially do. And then we want to hear from you through the online survey. So that way, if there is support, we can present it back to our city commission. And with that, I'll turn it over again to Gabby.
Thank you, Neil. And we're going to open up the floor in just a second for public comment. Due to the large number of participants, we do ask that everyone keep their comments under 2 minutes just so that we can get through all of the questions and comments that are going to be presented to the team in just a second. Want to again just welcome all of our elected officials that have joined. We have our mayor that has joined us. Thank you for being here with us this evening, as well as his deputy chief of staff, Blake Govan. Just want to again recognize our Commissioner Dominguez's office, Julian Desroyes, for being here with us this evening, as well as Commissioner Fernandez and his aide, Cara Petrella, Commissioner Kristen Rosen Gonzalez's aide, Jacqueline Budin, and our Commissioner David Suarez is on as well. So thank you all for being here with us. If you are joining us tonight via the Zoom app, we ask that you use the raise your hand icon that is located on the bottom of your screen. That'll prompt us and we'll make sure to allow you to speak and ask your questions or state your comments. If you're calling into tonight's meeting, feel free to dial the *9 buttons to raise your hand, and then of course, when prompted, dial *6 to unmute yourself. So I'm going to turn it over now to our first caller, Mr. Josh Hunter. If you can please state your full name and unmute yourself and ask your question there.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, so my name is Josh Hunter. I'm a new resident on the west side of Alton Road. Very interested to find out what's going to happen with this project. Do you believe that the through traffic and left turn restrictions will affect? How do you feel like that's going to affect the people who live on the west side of Alton Road?
Well, thank you very much for that question. If you live on Alton Road, you still be able to get to your property as you do now. This is only a mechanism that we're thinking to put in place to restrict the volumes of vehicles that are entering North Bay Road. If your property fronts Alton Road, you're still going to be able to make U-turns. U-turns will be allowed. For example, if you live south of 27th Street, between those two streets, and you wanna, and right now you make a U-turn on 27th Street to get to your property, that movement will still be allowed. The only movements that would not be allowed is left turns to enter into North Bay Road.
Thank you, Alton. I'm going to go over to the next caller, Joanna Rose Kravitz. If you can please unmute yourself there and state your question or comment.
Hello. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Mayor Minor, our amazing commissioners, and our residents. My husband is the president of the Alton Road Association, and we actually never knew anything about anything that was going on. So I have several questions, but let's start from the beginning. First of all, this seems to be pretty advanced in the plans. So you've identified a possible problem and you've already thought of a solution, or possible solution. I'd like to know, firstly, where this kind of started. Which neighbours, who said something? Is there a commissioner that's wanting to take this forward? Which elected person is dealing with this? We don't know anything. We've just been told that there's been complaints and we're acting on it. How come a traffic survey was funded? How was it funded? We don't know anything about this. Let's just start there before we even talk about how we feel about it. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that question. Again, as part of one of our responsibilities as a transportation and mobility department of our city is to look for ways to mitigate traffic congestion in our neighborhoods. So when we receive a number of complaints, some concerns, we know there's a lot of volume of traffic that goes to the North Bay Road neighborhood, primarily to go around Alton Road's traffic. We felt the need to see what was that, to quantify that number. So as part of our, duties in traffic, we can, this was an in-house analysis that was done. We went ahead and collected traffic data, traffic turning movement counts, how many vehicles, make left turns or right turns onto those different intersections. And then based on that, we were able to see, we were able to quantify that a lot of the left turn movements occurred south on the southernmost part of North Bay Road, the Michigan on Michigan 20th Street and so on and so forth. So that's how this more or less was born. Based on the complaints that we received from residents. And this is very early on. This is, as I mentioned before, this is not approved by the City Commission. We're still yet to go to the City Commission with this plan. We just wanted to hear first from the city, from the residents, the community, and this is something that they would be supportive of before going to our City Commission.
Hi, can you still hear me? Hi, thank you very much. Okay, I just want to start by saying most of the residents that I've spoken to are really on Alton Road. I'm on Alton and 29th. We're quite opposed to this, and we feel like we just haven't been kept in the loop at all. And not only has there been some kind of problem, we've been given a fix when we haven't even been told about a problem. I just want to point out that we're just not very happy about it, and we don't understand why this street, why that street. And also, we'd like to see the data. I'd like to see the data on the survey. How do you know which cars are going where? How do you know they're just using it as a cut through, or do you live there, or anything like that? It just seems to me like it's just been plopped on our lap, and we're now dealing with it.
Again, I just want to reiterate that this is nothing that has been set in stone. This is a potential solution to a problem that we all know exists in North Bay Road, which is a local residential street. We're just looking for ways to mitigate those concerns. This is the very first time that we've gone to the community. This probably will be the first of many communities. Again, if there is support, if there is no support from the city, the community, there probably will not be support from our city commission, and probably this project won't move forward. So what we're here for is to see where the residents feel or where they are with this potential pilot program. And obviously there needed to be some thought into it before we were able to come to the community on what we're proposing to do. But then again, this is nothing that has been set in stone. There's nothing has been approved. This is the city is not imposing this on the community. We just want to hear from you guys before it moves forward.
I have one more thing. Because it's coming off of Alton Road, isn't that like a state road? Don't you have to have their buy-in on this? Isn't this something that you need to have their buy-in? It's not just a city issue.
That is correct, and we did reach out to our FDOT, as you said, as I mentioned earlier. FDOT has jurisdiction over this right over Alton Road, and we also have been working with the county on this project, and um, they are aware, and any permits and anything that we need to do in order to make this happen, we'll make sure that we do that. So we still have they are aware this project is going on, or this potential project can be happening.
Thank you so much, Oatmeal. I'm going to turn it over now to the next caller, Adam Schimmel. If you can please unmute yourself and state your question.
Hi, I don't have a question. I just have a comment. I live on Sunset Island, and I know and every neighbor I've spoken to is strongly opposed to this. It's going to make it a lot harder for us to get home. And contrary to your goal, you're going to force everyone trying to get to Sunset Island from the south to go onto North Bay Road. So you're going to add cars to it at a time when there's a lot of traffic on it already. I don't understand the point of this. I don't think there are many people who are cutting through onto North Bay and then going back onto Alton. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So strongly opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it over now to the next caller. If you can please state your full name. I have here FK.
Yes, hi, it's Fred Carlton. So I don't think that the Alton Road residents are going to be affected. It sounds like from what you're saying. They're not, they can still make a left turn from the northbound lane to the southbound lane to get home, or just travel south. I just want to tell you that, it's 30 minutes. We live on 23rd Street. It's 30 minutes for us to get at peak hours just to the 195 entrance. And that's if we can even get out of our driveways to go north. So most of the time we have to go south. It's just so blocked up. It's blocked up all the way from Meridian Avenue and Alton Road to down to 22nd Street, sometimes 21st. So I guess my question is enforcement. What would the enforcement be, and how do the North Bay Road residents, and I think the gentleman from Sunset Island, how would we get, onto our streets if the streets are being blocked off? What's the enforcement? How does it work?
So again, this is a pilot program that we are exploring. Enforcement, if a let's say this project or this pilot program was to move forward and implement it, we would have to work with our police department. If they see a violation, that is something that they would be able to enforce. But that again, this is very preliminary right at this time. And we're still in the exploration stages. What we wanted to do today is more or less explain what the potential pilot program could look like, and to see their support from something like that. Again, entering and accessing the Sunset Islands, you'll still be able to make a left turn on 29th Street, which is where you access at Sunset Islands 1 and 2. You'll still be able to make a left turn on 20th Street, which is where you can access Sunset Islands 3 and 4. Again, this is just a measure that we're exploring to minimize or try to reduce as much as possible the traffic for the vehicles that are going northbound, that ultimately their ultimate destination is to get onto Gigatoro. And since there's backups on Alton Road, they're trying to find an alternate location to cut through the traffic.
Yeah, but if I'm coming from, let's say, Lincoln Road, and I have to travel to 29th Street, that could be 30 minutes just to get from Lincoln Road to 29th Street. So for people that live below 29th Street, are we going to be able to enter at sunset?
You'll be able to make a left turn on Sunset Drive, which is 20th Street. You'll be able to make a left turn on Michigan Avenue, which are two signalized intersections. The two signalized intersections we're not touching those, or we're not looking into those. We're only looking into the other intersections that are not controlled by any signals.
And there'll be a police officer there? I mean, are we going to have to show ID? Are we going to get some sort of decal? I mean, how's it going to work?
Again, the aside from the three intersections that we're exploring, the installation of the no left turns, you'll be able to make a left turn anywhere else. Sunset Drive, on Michigan, and on 29th Street. If the traffic, depending on how the traffic is on Alton Road.
Yeah, but if you have no entry signs and people are ignoring those, how are you going to know who the residents are?
Again, this restriction is not just to residents or non-residents. This is a restriction that is going to be for everyone. If anyone wants to access North Bay Road, it would have to be from the prior streets outside of that time frame. Again, it's only from those restrictions on those three potential intersections are from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. in the afternoon. But then again, we're going to be doing if it moves forward, we're going to be evaluating the impact that these restrictions at these three intersections will have on the other intersections. So this is not something that is just going to be done and we're going to walk away from it. This is something that if, again, we're exploring it, but if it does move forward, we're going to be looking into it and evaluating how effective it is.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over now to the next caller, Philip Stillman. If you can please unmute yourself and state your question or comment.
Hi, good afternoon. I live on 3015 North Bay Road, and I fully support in the strongest possible way this proposal. I want you to know that it's impossible to get in and out of our house from about 3:30 to as late as 8 o'clock at night because everyone it's bumper to bumper on North Bay Road with everyone trying to get to the 195 as a cutoff, as a shortcut, which is not really a shortcut, from Alton Road. And the reason it's not a shortcut is because the light at Chase and Alton, or North Bay Road in Alton, it lets out 4 or 5 cars, and it's a very short light. And it's not a shortcut. So everyone who's in this bumper to bumper traffic on Alton comes to North Bay Road. These people who live on Alton, they're not affected by this proposal. We have bumper to bumper traffic on a residential street that stretches all the way back, as far back as the beginning of North Bay Road at Sunset Islands. And it's simply intolerable as a person who lives here day in and day out to get in and out. It took us 40 minutes to get from the entrance of North Bay Road by the Sunset Shops to our driveway at 3015 North Bay Road. 40 minutes. And we couldn't get out. We couldn't get out. We certainly couldn't get north. And all of these people are trying to get to 195 and get around Alton. There is no possible way that we can this can be tolerated. And the important thing here is that it has to be enforced. The signs have to be enforced. That has to be enforced by photo tickets or by police, so that somebody is going to prevent these people from actually just ignoring the signs and thinking that they're going to be taking a shortcut. And this happens every single night. It is absolutely required here. And I am shocked that anyone would say it's not required. So I strongly, in the most strong possible terms, urge this to be adopted.
Thank you very much for your comments. I'm going to turn it over now to the next caller. We have Ellen Friedman. If you can please unmute yourself and state your question or comment.
Yes, hello. My name is Dr. Ellen Friedman. I am a resident at 3180 North Bay Road, corner of Alton. I have been a resident for 24 years. I chose this home on this particular street because it was a very travel-friendly street. It was a residential street. Sure, we had some traffic at some time, but at this point, this traffic has crippled our daily living. You cannot really go out between 3 and 7 because you cannot get back. As the last caller was saying, Philip, it takes a half hour to go 1 block. There are families on this street who are bringing young children home from school. They can't let them out of the car because they're too young. They are basically, they have to urinate, they're crying. If there was an emergency medical situation, you cannot get out of that line. The police will not let you pass on the left. You can get a ticket for that. But this is an unbearable situation for these residents. Like I said, I have been a resident in this home for 24 years. It has never been like this. And this is, I think, an effect of overdevelopment in Miami Beach, affecting the residents in really intolerable ways. This will not affect the Sunset Islands. They will still have access, and they're going to have better access in North Bay Road when they make a left there to get onto 195. It's not going to affect Alton Road people. They're still going to have the ability to do what they did before. So there's nobody that's going to be negatively affected by this. It can only help. And also the change of the Google Maps, which can be further explained by somebody else.
Thank you very much for your comments, Dr. Friedman. I'm going to turn it over now to the next caller. It is Dana Stillman. If you can please unmute yourself and state your question or comment.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Dana Stillman. I'm a resident and a voter, and I'm also on the Animal Welfare Committee. We have lived here between 29th and the end of North Bay Road since 2017. And let me just tell you what it's like to try and leave the house between 3 and 7. So we back our car into the driveway. One of us has to get out, step in front of the cars that are parked, hold our hand up, request that they wait so that we can back out. Okay, sometimes people do that, sometimes people don't. That's one problem. So we have to step in front of traffic. The other problem, I'm going to address 3 issues. The second problem is that because we're so close to Mount Sinai and there's a lot of emergencies, our road, North Bay Road, the top of North Bay Road here is used for the emergency responders, the fire engines and the ambulances. They use the wrong side of the street to fly up to Mount Sinai because Alton Road is so packed. So what we have in front of our house here between 29th and the top of Lower North Bay Road is we have people trying to make U-turns. So they're blocking both sides of the street, and first responders are trying to get out, trying to get to Mount Sinai. That is the second problem. The third problem is that everyone that's even crawling up the street is not only texting and driving, but they're running into things. Not once, not twice, but 3 times we've had people run onto our driveway and hit the things that we have to block people just because they're not paying attention. So I am fully in support of having this pilot program take effect so that we can safely live on Lower North Bay Road, where we paid good money to be protected from the people trying to get to the 195. We have a nice big road to get there, and it's not our street. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. I'm going to turn it over now to our next caller, Mark Balsley. If you can please unmute yourself and state your question or comment.
Hi, this is Mark Balsley. I live at 2383 North Bay Road, and I only have a comment. I don't have a question. First of all, I want to thank the city and the commission and the people involved in this proposal, because it's very needed for our neighborhood. Yeah, during those specific hours on the weekdays, 3 to 7, it's really, really bad on North Bay Road. We have huge amounts of traffic, and it's all cut through traffic, except for the few people that are trying to get to their driveways. It's anything that can be done to alleviate the traffic in our neighborhood, which was once quiet, not any longer. I've lived here for almost 28 years, and the traffic has gotten really, really, really bad. And yes, I can see that people a little bit further north of us have terrible problems getting in and out of their driveways. And yes, people are not paying attention. It really makes it a dangerous situation in our used to be quiet little neighborhood. So I applaud these efforts. I'm in favor of these efforts. Please help us do something to alleviate the traffic in our neighborhood. That's all.
Thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over now to the next caller. Heather, if you can please state your full name and unmute yourself there and state your question or comment.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Heather Alton. I live 30th at North Bay Road. I have lived here for 12 years. But prior to that, I grew up North Bay Road in the 50s. So I've been a long time resident of North Bay Road. And the reason why I chose to live North Bay Road is for the privacy and the quietness that North Bay Road has always offered. First, I want to start off by saying the safety. It is so beyond dangerous. Cars are going North Bay Road using our street. So I'm the end of North Bay Road, and they're using our street as a two-way street, which it's not. So they're going the wrong way to try to cut. Everyone cuts. So whoever's in front of you in the line, they want to try to get ahead and cut. They realize how long the line is, so they're making a U-turn. So it's and like Ellen stated, there's children. Besides children, there's bikers, there's tourists that are using our street to ride their bikes, and they have to swerve around cars because cars are skipping and illegally going down, which we all have to stay in one line. It takes, I wouldn't say 30 minutes, 40 minutes for me to get home on a daily basis. And I'm lucky if people let me stop the car behind me to pull in my driveway or pull out, because they intentionally go closer that you can't get into your driveway or exit. And every other car, or every majority of cars, is a construction worker with the name of their company on their vehicles using our street. The amount of local residents using our street is very minimal. It's more construction workers and people that don't reside on these streets. Sorry, I said a lot at once because it's just very frustrating, and we've been dealing this not just for Art Basel, not for events. It's a daily basis that we're dealing with it.
Thank you, Heather. We hear your comments and appreciate you taking your time. I'm going to turn it now over to the next caller. I have Alejandro. If you can please unmute yourself and state your full name and ask your question or comment.
Hi, Alejandro Nacio. I live also on North Bay Road. I'm 31st. I'm the last house before North Bay becomes Chase or meets Alton Road. So I have to go all the way through on all this traffic. Every day I have to pick up my kids in school, and I have to take North Bay Road going north. and it takes me at least 45 minutes to get there. And I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and it's very hard for them. I mean, 45 minutes it's a good day, but it's not only that. It's daily 45 minutes just to do, from 29th to 31st, but also get into your house. So I'm not going to repeat everything that everybody else has said, because it's the same thing. I mean, it's a nightmare for me. Besides all of that, and the 45 minutes and the accidents that my kids have and everything, because it takes so long, is since I'm at the corner, I had to deal with from 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock constant honking, because people are trying to go through, and if the light turns yellow, people stop, and the guy behind wanted to go through, so they start honking. Or sometimes the light turns green and the person in front of them is on their phone, so they start honking again. So the whole time, for 4 hours or 5 hours, they're honking. That's all we hear for hours every single day. Another problem is that, like Helen said, people use the left lane to try to cut through everybody. So sometimes I want to take a ride my bike in order to go to Publix. And if I had a couple of times very close calls that people are going as fast as they can. Yesterday was a Cybertruck that almost hit me, and going the wrong way, and they don't see a bike. They don't have time to stop, and it's a constant turning, so it's not a straight line, so they can't see you. So the only way to ride is on the sidewalk. So it's dangerous, and I don't see how this can continue happening. It's really bad. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to our next caller. We have Steve Blimbaum. If you can please unmute yourself, state your question or comment.
Hi, my name's Steve Blimbaum. I live in the 20th block on Alton, and I happen to agree with most of the people on North Bay Road. The traffic is ridiculous and unsafe. There's no question about it, especially the afternoon traffic. But we see it in the evening too. People racing down the street, non-residents. I saw 2 cars drag racing a couple nights ago. It is just totally unsafe, and traffic should be restricted for more than those hours. But the one thing I disagree with my neighbors on North Bay Road is Alton. All the residents that live on the west side, if they're restricted to making U-turns to get into their homes, if they're coming from the grocery stores or they're coming from the south end, it is not safe. The traffic has to be addressed on Alton Road in both directions, not only one direction. And none of these problems are going to get solved until we can have smoother access onto the 195. And that is the situation where it's access to the 95 and access to downtown Miami. On any given day, during rush hour traffic, whether it's in the morning or the evening, it's backed up. And when we're in season and we have several million extra people down here, it's backed up all day. So restricting traffic or coming up with a plan, no left turn or limited use of a street, it's not going to solve the problem until the 195 access is smoother. It's either that or you have to slow the traffic way down on Alton Road and just eliminate all the traffic on North Bay Road so non-residents can't get there. What you're trying to accomplish is listen, during Art Basel, you put up signs on 21st, 23rd, and 27th, limited access for residents only. You actually put up a border or a barrier, and people just went around it like it wasn't even there. So, spending money on new signs, I can tell you it's not going to do anything unless, like Philip said, it has to be enforced. So anyway, you can think about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. We'll definitely take those back and review them with our team. I'm going to turn it over now to our next caller. If Gina Russ, you can please unmute yourself and state your question or comments.
Hi, my name is Gina Russ, and first of all, thank you for looking for solutions. I live on Sunset Island. I have two questions. One is, what about an exception for local traffic? If those signs are there, why not give the people who live on North Bay and the islands options where to turn left? Because I think that would lower the traffic in certain areas, because now everybody's going to turn left on 29th Street, and 29th Street is going to be all the way backed up. So my suggestion is left turn is restricted, but not for local residents, so they could turn left anywhere. And then going back to the signs for Art Basel, for us, I noticed that there was a lot less traffic on North Bay with those signs there that only let local residents turn. So I wanted to know if you looked at that and to see how that really worked on the traffic patterns with those kinds of signs in place.
Yeah, thank you for those questions. When it comes to just allowing residents to be able to make those left turns, it becomes a little bit more of an enforcement, harder to enforce. Because at that point, how do you identify who is a resident, who is not a resident? We've that's definitely something that can be explored, but from the preliminary conversations that we had on similar approach in other neighborhoods or other, especially during major special events, it becomes very hard to enforce, and then it 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 becomes an enforcement issue or concern for us. With regard to the temporary signage that gets deployed during major special events, that is a combination of things that we do. We again we put the barricades in there to deter cutting through there, but we also work with our other with the platforms to show North Bay Road temporarily during major special events. We can work with Google Maps, Waze, and those GPS platforms to show the streets as closed. So if you are a resident and you want to get from point A to point B and have to go through Alton Road, the GPS is not going to tell you to go through North Bay Road because it's shown as a closure. Again, that's a measure that we can put in place on a temporary basis. That's not a long-term temporary that we can measure that we can do. But that's why during, as you mentioned, during our Basel, there you seem to see that reduction in traffic because only the people that know about North Bay Road are taking North Bay Road. It's not a GPS telling them to go through North Bay Road.
Right. Is that possible to do that all the time, though, during those hours, to work with Google and Waze to do that? Because that would make a big difference. I saw a big difference during Art Basel.
That is definitely something that can be explored. And that if this program, pilot program, it's approved, then that's something that would be implemented as well. Doing it, showing North Bay Road closed for long periods of time, other than, on a temporary basis, as of right now, it's not something that we can do, but that's definitely something that we will explore.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. I'm going to turn over to our next caller, Yvette Borello. If you could please unmute yourself, state your question or comment. Yvette, can you hear us there?
Okay, now, sorry, my apologies. Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. First of all, it's Yvette Borello from 2045 North Bay Road. I want to really thank all of you and the city for overseeing this issue that has been lately, like my other neighbors have stated, has been really a nightmare for all of us who live in North Bay Road. Although I have not been as affected as my north side neighbors, and I'm so sorry to hear about Alejandro and Heather and all those neighbors who live in the up north, and I'm sorry about it, about you guys, what you're going through. We also here in the south of North Bay Road, we have been experiencing very bad traffic, very difficult for us, same thing as everybody else, getting to our driveways, people honking, not allowing us, it was getting into our driveways has been really difficult. At the point that we have been even altering our schedule, we cannot go out on Fridays, forget it. forget about it. So we basically try to get at home at 3 o'clock, try to leave early from work. It has been really difficult for us. So that's why I'm really thankful for all of you to overseeing this. And additionally to that, I want to tell to all my other neighbors of Alton and the Sunset Islands, I think it would be better for all of them if we implement these 3 left turns. Because if you're coming from Publix, if you're coming from Walgreens, you will have no issues. If you're coming from Walgreens north on Alton, you make a left turn on Sunset, you can make a left turn on Michigan Avenue. You won't have to even to go all the way to 29th, and then you can drive north on North Bay Road. You're coming from Publix, you're having a problem, you have to make a left on Sunset. So there's not issue why. I think this has been. I think this should be approved. It won't affect anybody else, and it's something that I've been in here for 25 years. And a long time ago, very briefly, because I'm running out of time, there was somebody proposed something that would benefit all the 3 neighborhoods. That is to take 1 lane from the golf course. I know it's the green space of that, but if we take 1 lane of the golf course and then we create 2 fast lanes going north and 2 fast lanes going south on Alton Road and create like a service road next to the houses on the west side of Alton Road, and we will avoid all that traffic. There was I think there was like a discussion 20 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, about this initiative that never unfortunately was implemented. But anyway, I'll throw it there for a future discussion as a long-term solution. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Yvette. I'm going to ask the next caller to please unmute yourself there and state your question or comment. Pierre Goslin.
And my partner and I will be on the 29th to be Road and North Bay Road. So we do have some concern about now all the traffic deterred to 29th Street, because what people are mostly complaining about, we're gonna have it on both sides now, coming from North Bay Road and coming from Alton Road. We already are going through this during times, people trying to get out on Alton Road. And so what I don't understand is that how is this going to help the situation of Bay Road if not only people can access North Bay Road through 10th Street or through 20th Street, because they're all going to be able to from 29 go north on North Bay Road, if I understand well. So I'm not sure how this is going to help, because people on Alton Road are going to take 23rd, 27, and
Pierre, I think you might have gotten disconnected there. I'm going to move over to the next caller and we'll come back to you because I think you were having some audio issues. So I'm going to turn it over now to Charlie Bahama. If you could please unmute yourself there, state your question or comment.
Hi, thanks so much for this. I apologize in advance because I missed the first 15 minutes of the meeting, 20 minutes. So I don't know if anybody proposed this. But I see all that you want to do. I live up on 41st Street. So getting from, say, 20-something to 41st, you just forget about that anytime after 3 until after maybe 7 or 8. And we have it too up here, the traffic. I don't know if anybody already proposed this, but all these stop left-hand turns and this and signage only makes it worse, because it's just another sign for somebody to have to read, and the police bottleneck, and it makes it worse. The only solution is we have too many people, it's too much, it's overdevelopment. That's not going to change, but we need more exits and entrances. So the only solution is to make the Venetian free. People don't use it because it costs money. If they made it free, everybody around the Lincoln Road area would not need to use North Bay or Alton Road to go to the 195. And the same thing with anybody living below 16th, they won't need to go to the 395. That is the most sensible solution, because at least a third of the cars will go on the Venetian. Now, I know money means so much to the city, more than quality of life, but even if they do it during rush hour, where they make the Venetian free during rush hour. So this way, it gives us another way and people on and off, and it will split up the cars and the traffic. I don't know if anybody addressed it, and if not, that's a solution. And I think it's the best solution because the left-hand turns and all these things are not going to do it. It's too many cars trying to get off on only two exits and entrances onto the beach.
Just to clarify that point, the Venetian Causeway, it's under the jurisdiction of Miami-Dade County. So therefore that toll that it's on the Miami side, it's the counties, is not the jurisdiction of the city, and the city does not collect those revenues.
Thank you for your comments there, Charlie. We're going to turn it over now to Pierre Goslin. I know that you were on before, but if you could please unmute yourself there. I think we had a connection issue earlier.
Yeah, can you all hear me now?
Yes, yes, we can.
Can you hear me? Okay. So I'm not sure how much you heard from the first time, but I live on 29th Street between Alton Road and North Bay Road. And I do have some concern now that the traffic will be deterred to go through 29th Street. Obviously, we're having this issue right now for people going from North Bay Road to Alton Road. We're having traffic during the times that we mentioned. And now it's going to be on both sides that I'm thinking about. What I don't understand is that how is this going to help the traffic on North Bay Road if not only the local can access North Bay Road to 20th Street and to 29th Street, and then from 29th turn north on North Bay Road. If they're allowed to do that, then I'm not sure how this is going to help the situation, because I drive there every day, and I know that most people going to North Bay Road are coming from 20th Street. They're not coming from 23rd and 27th. They're coming from 20th Street, mostly.
And emergency vehicles coming in.
So, any comment?
So the left turn movements, again, the 20th Street and Michigan Avenue, based on the data that we collected, most of the the cut-through traffic, it starts as south as the most south you go. That's the heaviest left turns that you have. However, 20th Street or Sunset Drive and Michigan Avenue are signalized intersections. In order for us to be able to restrict a left turn movement on a signalized intersection from a time of day, the process is a little more cumbersome, and then we would have to work closer with the county to see how we can implement that. With a comment on North Bay Road and Sunset Drive, the only way that you can then at that point restrict cut through traffic through there is by creating a gate, and then that opens up a whole nother process in which the city would have to work with the county on create a special taxing district. It's a longer process to accomplish. What we're trying to do here, we're exploring ways in which we could potentially try to mitigate with AC solutions, how to mitigate the cut through traffic. The backups on Alton Road begin somewhere north of Michigan on a regular basis. Sometimes it does go beyond that. But what we see is that as you enter into those backups, is that's when the drivers are trying to find an alternative. So that's why they start turning on 21st Street. That's why they start turning on 23rd and then 27th. 29th Street is the very last street in which you can make a left turn onto North Bay Road, but it is also the entrance to Sunsets 1 and 2. So we feel the need of not restricting that to allow access to that neighborhood, to Sunset Islands 1 and 2.
Yeah, but my point is that it should be limited to locals only.
Correct, and that was a similar comment that a previous resident mentioned. When it comes to just limiting to certain people, it becomes more of an enforcement concern. How do you enforce a resident versus a non-resident? And it can create all kinds of issues. other kinds of issues. So, but that is something, again, this is something that we're exploring. This is very still in the preliminary stages. We still need to, you know, think about it more, consult with other departments in our city, and we'll take those comments back and make sure that we see how we can implement them.
Yeah,
Thank you for your comments. I'm going to turn it over now to our next caller, M. Pinsley. If you can please unmute yourself, state your full name, and ask your question or comments.
Hi, good evening. My name is Marcy Alvarez in Pinsley. I live on Lincoln Road. I'm sorry, I live on North Bay Road between 29th and the end there. I commute daily from Lincoln Road, and I've noticed some recurring traffic and pedestrian issues that I wanted to bring to your attention. First of all, there's high-speed traffic down North Bay Road, very high speeds as I head home, and this is a very concerning behavior, as everybody knows. But something that I think is particularly dangerous is when you turn left from North Bay Road onto Alton, this poses a significant safety risk for pedestrians as they cross on that north corner of the box. Drivers exiting North Bay Road fail to yield to them, and I've seen many near pedestrian accidents. I think the thwarting of cars going up our street actually creates more of a left-hand turning situation there at the Alton light, because they'll block the box. It's a very short light. Pedestrians have the right of way and they're crossing on the north side. This just exacerbates this 3 to 7 cluster that we're dealing with. There's intersection blocking there that it's really just creating more havoc. So I guess a suggestion or question I have is, has there been an evaluation of the traffic patterns, the traffic light patterns or flow at this intersection to better manage the high volume of cars exiting Miami Beach, especially towards the Julia Tuttle, adjusting the traffic light timing or introducing other measures that would improve the flow. This is also troubling as I leave Lincoln Road to make a right onto to Alton. Oftentimes I'll see even thwarting of cars away from the entrance onto the Venetian. As the other gentleman said, I think this is another egress that we really need to finesse to allow cars to leave. None of the lights seem to coordinate. At times when then people can get through, the light is so short that there's so much blockage in the box. It just creates havoc. So I guess my question is that, have you guys looked at the traffic light patterns to see if they've been optimized to allow the large egress needed?
Yes. The short answer to that is yes. We're actively always looking at our traffic signals, especially the ones closest to the egresses of their city. We've also partnered with like Miami-Dade County and with FDOT to look at all the traffic signals on the major corridors throughout the city. So the citywide effort that is being done right now to, as you mentioned, optimize the PM peak traffic signal pattern. So yeah, that's something that we're actively working on and continue to always do that.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to our last caller, Sean's iPhone. If you can please state your full name and unmute yourself to ask your question or comment.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Sean Oppen. I live at 3121 North Bay Road. Just to reiterate what Marcy said, it's gotten to the point where it's so difficult to get out of North Bay Road and turn left onto Alton Road that you've assigned a traffic officer there for the last several weeks, but literally is sitting in the vehicle, not doing much on the side of the road, just showing a presence more than anything else. I believe it was on Tuesday evening, they had a motorcycle traffic officer there who was actively directing traffic, and that alleviated quite a bit of the pressure on North Bay Road, actually in a quick fashion. So I think a simple process as just adding an additional traffic officer there who has, the ability to flow traffic or to move the flow of traffic will assist us in what we're looking to do. It's gotten so bad on our street that myself and multiple neighbors have actually had to get electric scooters in order to get around during the peak hours. And just to get to kids, I actually bumped into one of my neighbors tonight. He was on his second trip picked up his first child, came back and was going to pick up the second child on a scooter just to get around our street. So one thing to consider amongst everything else that we've discussed, and not to be redundant with everyone says, everyone's aware of the nightmare that our street has become in the traffic hours, is if we could try having additional traffic officers guiding that traffic on the Chase, Alton, North Bay intersection in order to push the traffic through, that should alleviate a lot of pressure as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment, Sean. We're going to turn it over to our next caller. We have Michelle. If you can please state your full name, unmute yourself there and ask your question or comment.
Sure. My name is Michelle Khan. I'm a resident of Sunset Island. And just a couple of things. My concern with blocking off certain left turns is that it's going to push more people to make a left on 29th Street, getting off the island. And also, as you've heard from many residents, on north of 29th on North Bay, it's a nightmare. So I think if you block off the 3 left turns before that, you're going to get an extra, it's going to make the traffic even worse there. But that segues into my second point, and if there's any way to do, I agree with the previous caller, if there's any way to do a Waze restriction, Google's Maps restriction, putting up the signs during Basel, local traffic only, I think really helps. If we could have those signs there, that, I don't know if you have to get permission to put those signs up, but just having those signs, even though I know there's an enforcement issue, definitely seems to deter people. But following up on this, my question is, how long is this traffic study going on for? Like, when's it going to start? When's it going to stop? And how are we as residents going to find out what the results are?
Thank you, Michelle, for that question. So we did a very preliminary analysis of the traffic movements in the different intersections throughout this corridor. And based on that analysis, we came up with suggested intersections to restrict those movements. If this pilot program is to get approved and move forward, again, we're very early on, it's very preliminary, we're still exploring. And as a matter of fact, the 3 locations where we're proposing to restrict the left turns have not been finalized. Those 3 locations are not finalized. Nonetheless, if a version of the pilot program does move forward, we will be analyzing what that impact will be after those left turn movements are implemented. That time frame, it's going to require data collection. We do want to have, it's not going to be a short period of time. It's going to be some adequate time in which we can have a good comprehensive idea of what that impact is on the other side streets where those left turns will be allowed.
Thank you very much, Othniel. Thank you, Michelle, for your comments and questions. I'm going to turn it over to our last caller, CJ. If you can please state your full name, unmute yourself, and ask your question or comments.
My full name, Christopher Iannuzzi. I reside at 1201 West 29th Street. It's on the corner of Old Alton Road between Alton Road and North Bay Road. My concern is it's already a parking lot in front of our home. Most everybody coming off of Alton Road or going onto Alton Road, starting at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. A majority of people going onto the island live there, Mach 5 in front of our house, and the people leaving North Bay Road, going north where they can't go north anymore, would turn in front of our home. Besides safety issues and speeding, and I understand everybody cutting through, I believe we should have consistency. If there's a police officer, maybe like we've asked our neighborhood resource officer, I've been living here for 21 years. I've seen this happen already. So many accidents on this turn. If we have consistency with the sign, just like they do through Bell Harbor and they do through Coconut Grove and everything, you can't speed, maybe something will happen in a better way. But I don't think it's fair that us residents closer to Alton Road, who pay the same amount of taxes as everybody, have to put up with us getting the turnaround and us having the parking lot in front of our home. We do have scooters as well, and we use them consistently, but at the same time, it's a parking lot, and I don't think it's fair.
Very dangerous, that turn.
Thank you for your comments. We appreciate them, and we're definitely going to take them back to our team for further review. That's all the callers that I have on my side, O'Neill. I'm going to turn it over to you for some additional remarks, and then we'll close it out.
Yes, just wanted to thank everybody for coming out tonight and giving us your feedback. It's very much appreciated. We were taking notes and we're going to go back to it. And we're going to be doing a survey, an online survey, so we could get some quantitative data of whether or not there is support for this potential pilot program. Again, this is very early on. We're still exploring. This is not finalized yet. We just wanted to hear from you guys um, on the issues and concerns that some of the residents have raised to us, and let them and let you know what we have been doing to try to mitigate those concerns. So again, this is probably not going to be the last time that you hear from us, and we'll be having that survey in the end to get at a later date to get the information and quantitative data from you guys.
Thank you, O'Neill. And if you can actually just put up that last slide, that'll help everyone that is connected online find ways to reach us and to keep in touch. We want to thank everyone again for all the questions and comments that you've all provided. They've been very insightful. And like O'Neill said, we'll definitely take these back with our team to review them. I know that we covered a lot of information, and we want to make sure that it is all accessible and readily available to everyone on tonight's call. So if you are not already signed up to receive our project updates, we highly encourage you to do so. You can scan that QR code that's located on the right bottom corner of your screen, and that'll help you sign up to our Mid-Beach neighborhood list. And so once we do post out a post-meeting recap of tonight's meeting, you'll be able to download a copy of tonight's presentation, rewatch the meeting that we have just recorded for you all, as well as sign up to receive our project updates, and of course, receive that link that O'Neill was discussing earlier to participate in that project survey. Our contact information is on the left side of the screen, so if you have any issues, please feel free to reach out to us. Once again, we want to thank you all for participating in tonight's discussion, and we hope that you have a great rest of your evening. Thank you all.